Hey everybody!
Hey!
Welcome to hashtag Pastor Besties. I'm Nicole.
I'm Melissa.
And today we're going to be talking about kind of a tough topic. We hope you'll stick with us, but it's a tough one today. You know, normally we like to keep it light and fun, but one of our viewers asked a question and we feel like we should answer it.
Yeah, I think that it's unavoidable. We have to talk about it.
We kind of did want to avoid it though.
Yes, because it's
tough, but we're going to talk about it today. And that question is, how do you find joy in the dark places of ministry? So stick with us.
I think for me, especially when I started ministry, like I love, first of all, I love being a pastor.
Oh, so much
I
fun.
adore it. I didn't,
Yes.
there are times that I haven't always loved it, but I love ministry so much and I'm so in love with ministry. But I totally know like those hard times. And I think that like being in ministry when I first started, I always thought that it was supposed to be like always, you were always happy, like you were always joyful.
Yes. Oh my gosh, when I was first called into ministry, I specifically remember thinking to myself, I get to work for God. Best job ever. This is going to
Right.
be amazing.
Amazing.
And most of the time it is. But sometimes it's not.
Right. I have some friends who will say like the best part of the church, church would be amazing if it weren't for the people. And here's the deal. Like, I get it. I also hate that statement.
Yes. Because the best part of the church is the people.
It's the people.
And sometimes the worst part of the church
Is the people. I had a seminary professor, Ty Inbody, who in one of his books, one of his quotes is, any Christian that doesn't love and hate the church at the same time simply doesn't understand the church.
Ooh, that's really good.
It's so good. And I think that the language is a little harsh and he wondered about that, but there's some truth, there's a lot of truth in it that sometimes that's just how you feel.
Well, and I think we need to be clear, like, we're including ourselves in this
Oh,
because sometimes
yes.
we're the bad people that make ministry miserable. Sometimes it's us because we're imperfect and sometimes we hurt people too.
Right. Yeah, working with people is complicated because we have this great capacity to be amazing to each other, and we have this great capacity to be awful to each other.
Yeah, I mean, when you get a group of people together, you know, we all have different hopes and desires and dreams and wants and needs. And I mean, anytime you get a group together, nobody always agrees on everything. It's impossible because we all have different thoughts.
Right. Even for as alike as we are, there are things that the things that we are different on, we're different about.
Yes. Like, I'm a hugger. I'm a touchy-feely person.
I
just
think
wanna
I
hug
am.
us all the time.
I mean,
but I don't.
Right. So, anyway, like, we're different.
We're different.
People are different.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like, because of people, or sometimes not even because of people, you just find yourself in, sometimes people call it like the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
Or those dark places in ministry. Maybe.
And just in life, really.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
where grief or fear or doubt has just kind of overtaken.
Loneliness or isolation.
Oh my gosh, that happens all the time in ministry.
Things aren't going right. I'm not fulfilled in my call. I have to deal with bureaucracy. Like, there are tons of reasons for you to be in that dark place.
I read a statistic one time that said that 70% of pastors suffer from depression or feel depressed.
Yeah.
70%. So this is not like it's just you. This is everybody. We're all in it together.
Right.
You know, it's a reality.
Right.
Not a happy one, but it is one.
Right. Right. I think another statistic is that 50% of pastors would leave ministry if they felt they had another option.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
big.
That's big.
That's a lot of people. So if you're struggling, you're definitely not alone.
No, there are so many reasons why we find ourselves in dark places in our ministry or in our lives in general. I mean, life happens.
Yes. I think it'd be super easy to get swept up in all of those reasons too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the dark places you don't know about them until maybe sometimes you've gotten away.
Yeah, I felt that before in my ministry where I think sometimes you're just in it, you're in it, and you don't realize how dark it is until you get out. So I kind of think of it like this. Like, have you ever had like your kitchen light, like one bulb goes out and you're like, I'll get to it later. Another bulb goes out, you're like, it's fine. And so you're like, you don't realize you're like chopping in like the dim until you go to replace the bulbs and you're like, I didn't realize how dark it was in there. And I think that's so like ministry. Sometimes you just are like wading into the darkness and you don't realize how dark it is until you turn around and you're like, I don't see any hope here.
Yeah.
All alone and it's dark and it's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had talked, in planning for this conversation in this episode a little bit about my dark night of the soul. And my dark night of the soul was in 2012. In 2012, my best friend died. And after that, there was a lot of other death around me in people that I loved and cared for. So there was a lot of death. And then I was a part of General Conference in the United Methodist Church. General Conference is a gathering that happens every 4 years. And there I found, I saw the best of the church and I saw the absolute worst of the church. So before that, I had lost my faith. I had very little faith in God, but I held on to the church. And after General Conference, I felt like I had lost faith in the church. And then I lost faith. Just for a lot of other personal reasons. I just felt awful. It was that dark night, dark year of the soul. It was so hard to be in ministry and to be a pastor and to feel like I was lying. I didn't believe what I was saying, even though sometimes I felt like I did. I went with the saying a lot: "Fake it till you make it," or as was given to J. Dubs, John Wesley, preach faith until you have faith, and then because you have faith, you'll preach faith. And I held on to that.
Isn't it good to know John Wesley, of all people, experienced the same thing.
Mother Teresa, this is not uncommon, but when you're in it, you do feel like, gosh, I'm the only one.
Right.
And you wonder too, how do you share this with people? Can I invite my congregation into the struggle with me? I don't know if that's always the best idea.
Yeah, sometimes it's not appropriate.
Right. So then where do you go?
But sometimes it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think, it's easy to feel bogged down and like you're in the mire and you just can't get out. So then how do you change the light bulbs?
Right.
How do you find the joy, find the brightness, the hope? How do you do that? Because we're all in places sometimes where we have to intentionally look for joy or we'll miss it. So I think the first thing you have to do is pray.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you just have to connect to God and say, this is where I am, God, and I don't know why I'm here, and I don't know where to go, and I need your help. Lead me out of this.
Well, and I think not just praying for yourself, but asking others to pray for you.
Yes.
Sometimes like I said, in my dark night, in my dark place, I didn't want to pray. But I asked other people to pray for me because it's just that's what I needed at the time.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that had happened again in my time, it was just before Lent. And so there's nothing like, when you have all of this death around you and you feel like you may not have faith in God anyway, and then Lent happens,
it's already a tough time.
Oh yeah, Lent is so happy clappy. Everyone loves it.
Happy clappy?
Yeah, happy.
No, it's really not. It's really not.
It's awful.
It's a somber time.
It is, right. And so for me, my Lenten discipline was to blog my blessings and to look for things that I found as blessings for me. And I think so if you look...
It's a good practice for anybody, but especially in a dark time.
Yes. And so I think if you intentionally look for those times, they'll be there. And sometimes, for me, it wasn't anything huge. Sometimes it was, I had a good cup of coffee today. Sometimes it was that my cats made me laugh. Sometimes it was a really good conversation with a friend. Sometimes it was, for the first time in a long time, I felt like I experienced God today. So sometimes it was big and sometimes it was small. But I think if you look for those places of joy, they are there.
Yeah. I think another way to find your way, to find the joy in the dark places of ministry is to really rely on your support system. So friends, colleagues, people that you trust that can handle where you are, but then can help you walk through it,
Yeah.
pray for you, talk you through it. I know for me, I want to like, when I'm in a bad place, I want to talk to it about like all these different people because they all have different perspectives, and I can like take little pieces from everybody and kind of put it together to form what my solution. So for me, it's talking to a lot of people, you know, my mom, you, my other colleague friends, even people that aren't in ministry,
Right.
you know, and just kind of get different thoughts.
I think I'm a talker outer. I process externally so much, maybe sometimes too much. But I think the other thing is I don't know that we give ourselves enough permission, especially as pastors, permission to grieve, permission to doubt, permission
Yes.
to be afraid. Like, if you need permission for those things, consider this your permission slip. Like,
Yeah.
you can do those things.
I once had somebody tell me that as a pastor, you can never doubt your faith.
Oh my gosh, then I have failed
No.
so many times.
It's in the doubting that you find your way.
Yeah.
It's in the doubting that you come to know what truth is. So doubt is natural. It's normal. Everybody needs to doubt. If you're not doubting, I don't know that you really understand your faith.
Right. I think faith and doubt do a dance together. I don't think that's original. I think somebody else said that. I think I'm quoting someone, but I don't remember who.
I don't care. I love it. I
So,
love that. Yes, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. So if you need permission for those things, you've got it. And find people that will help you, give you permission for that.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes you have to make that hard call that it's just time.
Yeah.
Time to leave the place where you're serving, time to leave ministry totally.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard decision, and we don't want you to take it lightly.
Right.
You know, don't just quit on the day that you're hurt by somebody or you get upset by something. That is a long process to walk through.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's where God's going to lead you. But then you have to trust God to lead you out of it gracefully and into whatever is next for you.
Right. Right. Yeah. That is a hard decision to come to. And
It
yet,
is hard.
sometimes it's the best decision.
Sometimes it's the right decision.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just for right now. Maybe it's not forever,
Yeah.
but maybe
Yeah.
it's just for right now.
Yeah. Sometimes you need that space for your soul to heal.
Yes.
And I always think that some of the things that I say about when your soul needs time to heal is your soul knows how to heal itself. So sometimes if you just listen to yourself of what do I need, it's there. It's inside you.
It's the nature of a soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, this was a hard one.
Yeah. But I think that I don't know that we talk about this enough in the church, especially as pastors.
Because we want to feel like we have it all together.
Right.
Spoiler alert,
We don't. I am a hot mess sometimes.
Guilty as charged.
A lot of times I'm a hot mess.
It's okay.
Right.
You're allowed to be a hot mess.
Right.
You don't have to be perfect a pastor.
Right. And I think that sometimes in my hot messiness, sometimes what I find is being vulnerable and sharing that I'm a hot mess right now or I'm really struggling with something. Like sometimes being the first one to say it, there are people who are like, oh my gosh, me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes not. I mean,
Right.
sometimes there are people who are really uncomfortable with it. Like when I tell people that as a pastor, I doubted and I didn't believe in God for a little while. Like that's really, I don't know if damaging is the right word, but for some people that's like, what? And for some people they're like, oh my gosh, me too. So,
You have to discern
Yeah.
when it's appropriate
Yeah.
to do that. Well, and I think that's the importance of sharing our stories in safe places because, you know, if you think you're the only one that's ever gone through it, that's terrifying.
right, right.
But when you start to hear other people's stories, that's the power of ministry.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
the power of that we're in this together.
Right.
We're not alone. We've all been through it and it's okay.
Yeah. And sometimes just that glimmer of hope can change everything. Like just that small little speck, that light, that can change everything. And sometimes even if you can't hope, if you can't hold on to hope, there are people who will do it for you.
Yeah.
And so let them hold on to hope for you, even if you can't do it for yourself.
Yeah, because when you're in the darkest of places, if you see that tiny little glimmer, then you know where to start going.
Yeah.
You know what direction you need to go in. And sometimes that's all it takes to get yourself out of where you are.
I'm going to quote scripture, but I don't know where it comes from. I think it's a psalm. Though the darkness may last for the night, the joy comes in the morning.
I'm pretty sure that is the Psalms.
think it
Well
is a
done.
So may you know that you are not alone.
No.
Even in the dark nights of the soul, even in the dark places of ministry, that God is walking alongside you, weeping, holding, and screaming with you. And we're all walking each other home. So hold on to hope.
It was so good to be with you guys today.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us and for hearing us out, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.